I know, I just posted an iPhone 8 video, now I'm gonna be posting another one today, but listen, you guys don't really care about other topics. I know I ultimately decide what the videos are on, but I want to make things people want to watch, so if this is all you watch, then I can't make things that no one cares about. But anyway, if you want to see content that's not about the iPhone 8, please go subscribe to Tailosive Talks. I'm trying to grow up that channel a little bit. There's vlogs, there's daily content, plenty of stuff to watch there that's not even tech related, but regardless, how much is it going to set us back? This is always the biggest question with Apple products, and typically the biggest problem for why people decide not to get them. I remember back before the Apple Watch came out and it was rumored that Apple was working on a smartwatch of sorts. I remember saying to myself, if it's over $200, it would not be worth it. You see, the new smartwatch was priced at $350. Apple uses the term starting. What that tells me is that the price can only go up. And knowing that the cheapest model is $350 does not excite me very much. It has to be in that $200 price limit for me to be interested and for me to buy one. And now here I am years later, cost $400 for me to get my watch, and I'm like, sure, I'll get the Series 3. Will it be much different? Probably not, but yeah, why not? 400 bucks, just throw it around. Typically, we change our mind about the expensiveness of a product once we realize how much we love it and how much we need it. Not necessarily need though, like we really just want it. We could get by without it, but man, it's so shiny! Apple sheep logic, everyone. I remember when the original iPhone first came out, it was all in the media that Apple is running out of ideas and they've created this really overpriced piece of technology that no one wants to use. Who wants to have a whole computer in their pocket? That was obviously all wrong, and now we're all very okay with paying $600 to $700 for a basic smartphone. That is rather higher tier though, so $600, $700, if you're paying that much, you should be getting a pretty good deal. I'd say that's like a flagship price. That's what the Google Pixel costs, but that's not a flagship. That's just overpriced crap. But that's what the iPhone costs. That's what the Galaxy S8 costs. Well, yes, but that approaches the $800 margin. So phones in general, they're doing a lot more for our lives, but prices are going up. I personally am okay with that because what it means to me is when they're raising prices and when they're making sure that our products have all these premium features, we are paying into the future. All smartphones this year are facing a big problem of what functionality do we not have that we can convince people they need in order to upgrade on a yearly basis. Because a lot of people are doing that because every year they want to get these new updates and they want their phone to be reinvented every 12 months, which is a lot to ask for if you compare it to other industries. You don't buy a new car every year. You don't buy a new house every year, hopefully. Typically, when you buy a product, it's supposed to last, right? But now with smartphones, it's like, you better think of something good in 1 year or else you're out of ideas. And I've talked about this before. The biggest problem we have with this year's cycle of smartphones is we're running out of functional features to have. So the end result is to just either start sacrificing functional features or just try to make your phone as pretty as possible. The Galaxy S8 looks beautiful, and I think that's its main appeal. The main reason I liked it, the main reason a lot of people like it, is because of that display. Looks great, but it also forced them to put Touch ID on the back, which isn't as functional and not as clean. And to make certain things like waterproofing, they have to remove the removable battery in terms of the Android field. So since they're running out of functional things to do, they are now just pursuing how to make their phone look cool, and I think Apple's doing the same thing this year. The iPhone 8 has that edge-to-edge display. What does that help with? Is that supposed to make the phone better? Not really. It just kind of looks different, I guess. It's supposed to look cool. But if we do expect some real, functional, innovative features to come out on our smartphones in the future, all these giant companies that are developing this hardware need the money and time and resources to make that possible. So that's why I'm okay with paying large amounts of money for a smartphone that's coming out this year. The iPhone 8, which is anticipated to start at $1,000, given a more recent leak. Now, before that, it was rumored there would be two storage configurations, 32 gigs and 256, which I think is an interesting selection. Usually Apple goes with 3 storage options, but this time, because quantities of the iPhone 8's parts are so low, I don't think it's going to be easy to make a lot of different versions, a lot of different colors or storage configurations, because they want to sell all of them. And the problem is they are going to be in short supply, as in they can't really have a lot of options and wiggle room with how much the iPhone 8 may variate. It probably will have more options as the year goes on. You might not see the product red iPhone 8 on launch day. You might not even see the gold or rose gold on launch day, but they'll come later in the year as the mass production process gets easier. But a previous rumor said that it would start at $930 for 32 gigs, which is a lot, but you are getting a lot in this package. It's going to be a very premium smartphone, but still, for a lot of people, that might convince them not to buy it at all. And then it would be well over $1,000 for the 256 gigabyte option. If they went with those storage configurations, I could understand that, but this more recent leak is saying that it will start at $1,000 with 128 gigabytes of storage and cost cost $1,100 for the 256 gigabyte version. Yikes, that's gonna set us back quite a bit. And that's just talking America. You know, in other countries, iPhones are typically even more expensive, so I feel really sorry for you guys, and I don't mean to sound sarcastic. Like, that honestly sucks. I'm sorry. I wish I was in charge of this, but I'm not. I'm just reporting the news. So of course, I wish we could have the 3 storage options and have the 3 different pricings, but Apple, I think, has invested a ton of R&D into this phone. And if you didn't know this, a lot of the profit made off of iPhones is typically made from the higher storage configurations. Because, you know, exchanging a little chip inside your iPhone 7 with a 128 gig instead of a 32, I don't think that costs an extra $100. I think in the manufacturing process, it takes just as long to make. The only difference is they grab a different source chip. They've got 3. They got 32, 128, 256. They just grab a different one. And I don't think the price difference between those 3 chips is $100 either. I think Apple realizes that a lot of people prefer to have those higher storage configurations because they want their phone to do a lot of stuff, and they rely on people who want that extra storage to provide most of the profit. Because I've heard that the profit margin on the cheapest possible iPhone, the 32 gig versions, those really aren't that much compared to the higher storage configurations, which of course have a price difference of $100. Usually with Apple, it can variate sometimes. So this is going to be a similar release to the iPhone 7 in jet black, as in it takes so long to make, it's so hard to manufacture, they can't afford to make a 32 gigabyte option. They legitimately need you to pay top dollar for that extra manufacturing process, and in the case with the iPhone 8, those premium specs and those premium features in the tiny form factor. That's the iris scanner, that's the fingerprint reader, wherever that ends up, the edge-to-edge display, 2-cell batteries, redesigned dual camera, hopefully, wireless charging, all of those fancy things you're going to be paying for, but getting that extra perk of either 128 gigs or 256. I'm pretty sure that's going to be your only option. If that's what Apple did with the jet black version of the iPhone 7, I have a feeling that the iPhone 8 is harder to make than that, so it would make sense that they don't include a 32 gig option, which I know it sucks because a lot of us want this to be as cheap as possible. We don't want to break our bank, but I'm afraid that's going to be how it works. So the cheapest possible iPhone 8 is going to cost $999 before taxes in the US. So that's the bad news. Hate to break it to you. I feel very sorry for who's ever on stage during the keynote. Probably going to be Phil Schiller, huh? Yeah, Phil has the hardest job of any Apple employee. He has to go on stage during a live stream and tell the world how much their products cost. Apple, which is notorious for having overpriced tech. Poor Phil. He's getting so many eyes on him going, what? That much? Given a lot of us are the premium Apple sheep, we're all gonna pay $1,100 for that 256 gigabyte option. Yikes. The other thing to keep in mind is Apple has surprised us in the past, and I'm not talking about in a good way. I'm saying Apple has made things more expensive than we thought they would be several times. So I know we have this leak now, but really do prepare for the worst. It could cost more than $1,000 starting, which would be terrible, but I'm not gonna say it's impossible. What are your thoughts on the cost of the iPhone 8? Is it way too high, or is it worth it given all the premium stuff you're getting out of it? Does this make you more interested in the iPhone 7s, given those won't have all the premium specs, but they will be pretty good, and they won't break your bank? They'll cost just as much as the iPhone 7 does now. Perhaps a higher priced iPhone 8 would keep the demand lower. That way more people who can afford it can get it soon, and we won't have to delay the release months and months and months. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.